It's exactly 9:50, so it's the solstice. Midsummer's night. Anyway, I'll say good night and see you in the morning. Hello, good morning. It's coming up to 6:30 a.m. on Thursday, day 4 of my Thankful Villages cycle tour. I woke up in the night and I was a little bit cold, which surprised me. And I just drew the cord up on my sleeping bag, to form the mummy shape, and that did the trick. I've got a liner, but I haven't felt the need to use it. And then when I woke up at 5 a.m. with my alarm going off, I was still quite cold, and I got out, and because I'm in a river valley, there was like a layer of mist above the tall grass, so that explained that. And the first half an hour or so, getting the hot water on for my breakfast and some coffee, it was actually quite cold. And now, of course, the sun's risen and it's helping to dry the tent. You can see I've got things out drying. This morning I'm heading that way, and my first Thankful Village handstand worth is at 13 miles, so that's like the goal I'm aiming for. I'm not going to think any further than that. That's what I'm aiming for. But before I do that, try not to turn the camera right in the sun, I'm going to head back in town and pick up some supplies. I've got quite a bit. One little mishap yesterday, I was filling up one of my water bottles, and because water ran down it, it just slipped out my hands and it hit the pavement and it cracked, and you could see all the water coming out the bottom. I am a clumsy person. I'm probably not the most clumsy person in the world, but probably somewhere in the top 10. So I know from experience, if I go up to Tesco's or somewhere, if you get the stumpy 1 litre bottles of water, mineral water, that will fit in there. And if they haven't got those, I'm just going to have to take it on the chin and buy a couple of small bottles and put them in my panniers. So, there's a way around that. But I wouldn't be very happy just going with that 3/4 of a litre ride over the Pennines on a day like this. So I'll just show you around the tent quickly. I've had this Van Gogh Banshee 200 a few years now, and I've never had a side entrance tent before. I've always had tunnel entrance tents or geodesics, and it kind of messes with your head at first. The reason I bought it was because a few things really, but one of the main ones was the inner and the outer stay attached together, and you can just stuff it up into a stuff set. In fact, it folds up smaller than my sleeping bag on the road, and you can just store the poles and the pegs separately. It makes transporting it a lot easier, and it's also much easier to put up at night, when you're probably going to be a bit tired or it could be wet or whatever, and also taking it down in the morning. I do fold it up in the Swiss roll style, properly conventionally at home, for long-term storage. But that's the reason I bought it. They say it's a 2-person tent. It would be cosy. I would say it's a 1-person tent, but you can get all your kit inside. The vestibules aren't very big, but there's 2 of them, so you got one either side. But a little thing I wasn't aware of when I bought it that I really, really like, I'll show you from inside the tent. Instead of what would have been the entrance just being dead space, you've got this little flap there, and you can keep your shoes in there, because I don't want those in the tent, but on the other hand, I don't want them outside just in case they would get nicked or munched by a cow or something. And that's quite good. And you can also, that's double skin, so it's got a mesh on there, mosquito net, so you can actually have it as an extra ventilation if you want. So that's really nice design. And you can, plenty of pockets in here. I suppose my one criticism of it would be the tent poles are colour coordinated. Again, very easy to put up. Blue and red. Blue and red. You can sort of see the tunnels are clearly marked. But the only thing with this one is there's 2 eyelets down there. And the tendency for me anyway is to put it in the wrong eyelet, and then when you go to tension the pole, you feel you're going to snap it. And I realised afterwards when I read up about it that the other eyelet is so, if you've got a walking pole, you can make this as a tent door and maybe cook under it and sit under it in bad weather. That's not relevant for me. So the only thing I probably would have liked to have done was actually have the correct anchor point, the whole eyelet marked. I mean, it might look obvious now, but when it's all scrunched up and you're tired at the end of a long day, it's not always obvious what you're doing. So apart from that one criticism, I really like this tent. I've made a coffee and I'm having a all day breakfast boiled in a bag. I just know I need a breakfast this morning before those hills. I went to bed really early last night. I was just so tired, and also knew I needed to be up early this morning. So I'm going to drop the tent quite soon, head back into town, pick up some supplies, plenty of water, probably buy myself a couple of energy drinks as well, and make my way over the Pennines. Okay, so I've packed up. I'm carrying my shoes with the socks in there. I just had to walk through long grass and I didn't want slugs and wet feet to start with. My feet were all squelching in my Crocs anyway. I'm going to try and find a tap somewhere and wash some clothes. I've got them at the top of my bags handy. And I can do the same with my Crocs. There's the River Tyne this morning. Doesn't that look nice? That wasn't the best campsite I've ever had, that's for sure. It did the trick though, because I really did need to be close to the town this morning to pick up supplies. So, along the bridge, up a steep slope into town, pick up some supplies, then 13 miles to my thankful village. Just been doing the sums in my head. That would be a quarter of today's distance. And a mentor said to me years ago, break any big task down into 4 quarters. The first quarter you'll be on a buzz of actually getting going, getting started. The second quarter feels good because you're aware you're making progress. It's normally the third quarter. That's when fatigue's starting to build up. You've still got a long way to go. Then if you can just overcome that, you know, the fourth quarter, you quite often get a second win, don't you? Because the finish line's in sight. The third quarter is where most people who are going to give up, that's where they normally give up. And he just sort of said, you've just got to really be prepared for that. That was such wise advice, it really was. It saved my bacon on some Audaxes many times when I've been feeling really down in the third quarter. You just sort of think, it's not going to last, you know. That's why I savour the good times, because they're not going to last either. But, you know, conversely, the bad times don't last forever. You've just got to get yourself through them. Been climbing up about half an hour through some woods. Gradually it feels like you're terracing. Looks like it's opening up a bit though. Probably tell a little bit out of breath. I'm nowhere near the top, but I actually have come out onto quite an open bit. God, look at all those lovely foxgloves. That's the big ridge that I climbed over last night when I left the Meldon Thankful Village. It was up and up and up until I got to that ridge line along there. Then we dropped down into the Tyne Valley. I really liked that village last night. That was lovely. If there had been a campsite there, it had just been the icing on the cake. On the way out this morning, ironically, I saw a chapel and it looked like it had a porch, and that would have been an ideal stone camp, but you know, hey ho. I needed this shop, so that's priority. So that's what I came over yesterday. That's what we're heading for today. Once I got up on this elevation, there's a pub back there called the Traveller's Rest. Did B&B, and I could have probably asked them if I could have camped in their pub garden last night. You never know. I've done that before. And there's a camping and caravanning club there. Look, I am actually a member. I could have gone in there, but first of all, I didn't know it was there. And secondly, I just needed to be down in town to get those supplies for this morning. And also, I'm hoping to find something tonight. I'm going to get to the first Thankful Village, then sort of like set myself another goal. But by lunchtime, I'm going to start doing some Googling to see where there may be some campsites tonight, because I really desperately need a shower. If I can find one, it'd be brilliant. I'm actually heading towards Appleby in Westmoreland, which is a big touristy area. So, you know, if there's one there, I may even just press on and go there. I'm not even going to think about that until lunchtime, but I'm hoping there'll be an official campsite tonight with a shower. A couple of miles further on, look, there's another caravan and campsite sign posted, half a mile. I mean, that's starting to make me feel quite good actually. I know I'm definitely in a touristy area now, and I will be all day. So the probabilities of finding a campsite have just sort of gone up a little bit. It's about 20 past 9. I really have started to climb quite hard now out the saddle stuff, whereas earlier on we just sit in the saddle and just twiddle away. But I just look back, just behind those trees is like a big plume of steam coming up. That's not far from where I was camping last night. So, you know, that sort of warmed me cockles, thinking, oh, I've come quite a long way. But in the very far distance, you'll see the hill line of the North York Moors. That's the furthest line you can see. So I was running right alongside that on Tuesday afternoon, and these hills were just hazy in the distance, so the opposite today. I can't stay here too long. I don't know if you can see, there's flies all around me because of the salt and the sweat. Oh, it's getting unbearable. I've got to get back on my bike. It's leveled out a bit now, so I can sit in the saddle and talk a bit. The flies are everywhere when you stop. Once you start moving, the breeze dissipates them. So it's good incentive not to stop. I was just thinking back the other day, was it Wednesday or can't remember, the day I had that setback when the A19. I said to myself, no matter how hard today gets, it's going to be more pleasurable than that. And it is. This is nice. This is hard and nice. That was hard and horrible, to be honest. So I just compare one with the other. And I knew I was coming up to some rough stuff today, and this looked like the start of it. Yep, the road's just ending where that car is. So I think it's 3 miles of rough stuff, and then I'm on 7 3/4 miles, and the Thankful Village is at 13. So homing in on it. So both of the Garmins are behaving this morning, thank goodness. One of them was really playing up yesterday, which just confirms why I like bringing two. It's either that or bring dozens of maps, or stopping and starting navigating off Google. Maybe I ought to learn how to navigate off a phone and get one of those clip holders on the front. I may look into doing that sometime, but that would be a third backup, possibly a bit of overkill. This is nice. Well, I wasn't sure what this would be like. I did look at it last night thinking, should I main road it around this? And I thought, no, it's part of the adventure, isn't it? And that might come back and bite me, but this looks like a fairly substantial forestry tract, doesn't it? Just nice to cool down a little bit after that big climb. The forestry track bends around that way. I've just been sent off this way. Look at this. Looks like we're going to go straight over these heather moors. Oh wow. And I just saw a deer hopping over there. So that sort of was just a nice little experience. Once again, the flies are starting to descend on me, so I'm going to get moving. It's one heck of a climb up out of the Tyne Valley. It's gradual at first. I could just sit in the saddle and twiddle away, and then there was a real brutal out the saddle, handlebar creaking roads, and I came up through some woods, and I just had to stop and get my breath. And this just swarm of flies came down on me because of the sweat that were in my eyes and ears and everything. It forced me to carry on. But this is the about 3 miles of rough stuff I'm doing. I knew this was coming. It's cutting out a big pointy bit of road. So in other words, it's the base of the triangle. And I head over these moors. I bet they look fantastic in bloom, all the heather purple, carpet purple, heading over that way. I picked up loads of supplies this morning. I've got a water bottle that fits in my cage, got sandwiches, 2 cans of fizzy drink, bananas, chocolate, cakes, you name it. I've probably got more in there actually. I could feed a homeless hostel, so I'm okay for supplies. I'm just really enjoying it. But I would say about almost a quarter of the entire trip up to now, it's been rough stuff, off-road. So, you know, that's why the distances have been so hard actually, why I've been tired every night. This is requiring a lot of concentration. That last section was really hard, had to push it. There's been 4-wheel drives up here and there's deep ruts. It was just almost impossible, for me anyway. I just don't have the bike cord ability. Looking over at that lake there, it's got a little bit easier now. We're coming up to brow of a hill, but I've learned from experience, don't assume that's the top, because quite often you get there and you realise there's another roller coaster or two. And I know it is 3 miles and I haven't even done a mile yet, so just enjoying this. Just, it's so remote up here. And I'm okay, you know, because I've got all my supplies. I've got more than I need. You know, I've probably overdone it, but I'd rather overdo it than underdo it. Hunger and cycling are really not good companions. Right, onwards. It's quite sandy, this bit. Obviously some big boulders and rocks coming up, so you've got to be mindful of those. And then you hit sand and you go into a halt. Houston, we have a problem. Something didn't feel quite right, and I got off on the grass and had a look, and I realised I've ripped a cleat out my shoe. There's just a very soft bit there. I could feel the pedal going through. I thought there's no point going back to look for it because the housing's all been ripped out. And then I suddenly realised it's on the bottom of my pedal. It's only 94 miles to go to Lancaster, where there'll be a bike shop. I know there is one at Alston, but I can't see what the fix would be. It's not as though I could just buy a new cleat and put it in there. That's completely wrecked. I'm gonna have to try and wedge that with something, I think, because every time I put my foot on the pedal, it's going up in the ball of my foot. I've got to be careful what I walk on as well, because a stone could go up and damage the ball of my foot. I can't even get that out. I'd probably need a bike shop to get that out with pliers. I'd rip my fingers to shreds if I tried that. Yeah, snapped right off. I'm going to get down on low ground and sort of give it some thought. It's not game over, but certainly it's going to make the rest of the game a little bit tricky. Anyway, we'll see. After about an hour, I dropped down off the moors and I came down by a farm, and I thought there's loads of stones there. Maybe I can wedge one of those in the recess, you know, just to protect the ball of my foot. This tractor went by. You must have wondered what on earth was happening. I just couldn't get one to fit, and it was a bit of a long shot anyway. And then I just thought, just keep going on, you'll think of something. I came into this village and I've seen this abbey and it says it's open, and just it's an obvious place to head for, isn't it? I can think things through, charge some devices. Even that wasn't straightforward. I plugged it in to several sockets which weren't working. And I suddenly thought there must be a master switch somewhere. And I came round here and I just pressed the first one, and that's it. It's working. This is part of a scent trail. Look at this fellow here. Yeah, I'm not going to go too close just in case he jumps out. This is lovely. This is an abbey. I'm going to sit outside and give it a bit of thought. My thoughts at the moment are I'm probably going to amend the trip. So I think what I may do is just spend the next few days, get into Lancaster. I'm just not giving up on the Thankful Villages, even if I don't get to Lancaster the Sunday or Monday, and then just get a train down to Manchester. If I see a shop where I can buy some shoes, yeah, great. At the moment, I've actually been healing it down, because whenever I put the pedal on that recess, it just goes right up into my foot, and I've had fasciitis as a postman. I don't want that again. So I've been sort of like a 10-year-old, I've been pedaling with the heel, but that's not going to be good for 94 miles, is it? I'm just sort of thinking, is there anything here I could wedge the shoe out? I'm just trying to sort of think, what would fit in that recess just to protect it. Anything. Anyway, I'm just going to sit down and sort of calm myself down a little bit. At least I know I'm charging my devices down there, doing my phone and my little mini power pack on the road. Yeah, just going to have something to eat and get some food in my stomach and think the problem through. Find this really stiff card to just reinforce the sole of the foot. I mean, I had fasciitis as a postman. I don't ever want that again. And I went to the post office and said, do you have any blue tack? And she said, no, I've got some sellotape. So that's what I've been using to hold it in. And it seems to be okay, actually, supporting the ball of my foot. A couple of miles after that last village, where I was able to do this box repair with sellotape and that thick card, I'm coming into Hunstanworth, so a 6th Thankful Village. What I've been finding is, while I'm riding up gentle inclines like this, I can do it, that's doing the bulk of the work, and this one I'm just basically flat pedaling. The minute I get to a really steep bit where I would need to get out of the saddle, I just get off and push it up, because that foot's locked in. That one's just could easily slip and take a chunk of shin out. I don't want that. But the trouble is, it feels like it's moving all the sellotape forward. I really need to try and find some blue tack, I think, at the earliest possible opportunity. It's 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, and I'm at Hunstanworth, my 6th Thankful Village of the trip, 6 out of 9. And I've just found the slate plaque in this lovely cool church. So you can see it says Hunstanworth, 1914 to 2014, a Thankful Village. And that's what I've been doing with my poppies, just hooking them round. And it's at the back of the nave of this lovely village church. And this long gradual climb up over these open moorlands. This is wonderful, very windy, but I'm enjoying it. I just glanced down at my Garmin, because the Edge 200 is set to the part 2 of the course, so it's counting me down. I've got 89 miles to go to Nether Kennet, the final Thankful Village, and it's estimating I'll get there in 7 hours 23 minutes, but it just made me chuckle. If it's Friday afternoon and I've got till, say, Tuesday lunchtime, Tuesday early afternoon, I reckon I'll probably do it. But it just made me chuckle, really. I've just come over a cattle grid at this spot at the top. There's a van parked there chilling out. I'm heading down, following all those snow poles. Drops down in the valley, then can you see it snaking up the other side? I remember this from the second third of my Lindisfarne 1400 kilometre DIY Audax back in 2016. That nearly broke me actually. I was a bit spaced out by the time I get here, so at least today I'm sort of wide awake and enjoying it. I just turned my baseball cap backwards so I look like a builder, just so it doesn't blow off on this descent. Right, here we go. I've just dropped down that way to join this road. You see that arch over there? There's a board here explaining what that is or was. It's called the Rook Hope Arch. It was part of the Rook Hope lead smelting mill. And there is it there, look. That's what it looked like once upon a time. Even had a railway going underneath it, as well as peat carts, lead pig trolleys, roasting house, smelting house, flue. Gosh, almost back to nature, isn't it? Without that there, you probably would never have known this was an industrial valley. Gosh. I'm just taking it as it comes, and my Garmin is actually quite beneficial. I'm using an old Audax tack, 86 miles to go. I'm just counting down, giving myself a little staging goalposts. Last time I was struggling here, I had well over 400 miles still to go. I've only got 86, you know, so you can see in comparison it's nothing. And also I was on a timed event then. I've got until Tuesday lunchtime, so I'm actually quite cool, to be honest. I just really will feel a lot better when I can get a better fix in the shoe, because it's not going to last until Tuesday. I've got to get something sorted out, but as soon as I find a shop, I mean, hopefully I can think of something, even have to buy some glue, or I just don't know. So blue tack would be the obvious one. This must be part of that industrial valley again. There's an old tower there, some old roofless buildings. You can just see the road snaking up there. I see a white car in the very far distance, so we're going over that hill. Allen Head was 5 miles back there, so probably done about a mile since. So I can just see the white car up there in the far distance. So it's going to be crossing the hill about there. At least it's slow, and I've got the wind against me in places, and it's crosswind here, but at least I'm not having to get out of the saddle, so I'm very grateful for that. Another one of these explainer boards. Love this sort of thing, telling you that's the headgear for the fathom shaft, 150 metres down. Washrooms and fitting shop. Shame that's not still there. They might be able to fix my cleat for me. And there we're heading up there, just taking it nice and steady. Actually, this is perfect really, because it's one of those long hills. I can just sit in the saddle, twiddle away, and my foot feels fine. Okay, it's mid-evening now, and quick update. When I left that thankful village, I just plodded on up a long hill, then dropped down into this valley, and then plodded up another one, and I saw a sign saying Allen Head 5 miles, and I thought, you know, that sounded like a substantial village. I looked on Google Maps and it looked like there was a bit there. Anyway, when I dropped down eventually, you know, everything seemed to be closed. I suppose it's late Friday afternoon. It was just like a ghost town. There's nobody anywhere. And on the notice board, I saw a sign saying campsite. I thought, great, at least there's a campsite. There was no shops or anything. The only thing that was open was the pub. So I went in the pub and just confirmed I was heading in the right direction for the campsite, because I found the notice board a little bit confusing. Or maybe it's just me, maybe it's just where my head was today. And it just happened to be on the route I'm following anyway, where that white van's going up there. And so I pulled up here, and it says up on the outside, you know, bunkhouses and campsite. And I came down, it's like this courtyard, and there was just nothing. There was a couple of cars there, but nobody about. And I was opening all the doors, and it's like walking into people's houses. You know, there are freezers and fridges there with beer and all that, and food. but just nothing. And I tried every door, I thought there's got to be somebody around. And then eventually I went in one door and somebody came down. I went, oh, good, thank goodness. I thought, there'd been a neutron wars summit. And, sometimes you say completely the wrong thing. And he sort of came down and I sort of said, I was just wondering if I could camp. And he went, yeah, you can. He sort of said, just so you know, we're renovating the place. It will be a campsite next year and bunkhouses, but we only bought it up during the summer, so we're renovating it. I said, that makes complete sense. And so he said, but you're welcome to stay at your own risk. And I thought, yeah, I need it really. And he's put the boiler on, so I got a shower, all the water I need, fantastic view. He just popped up and asked me if I wanted a beer, but I just don't feel like alcohol. I don't think it'd be a good idea tonight after such a stressful day. So I just took the panniers off the bike, and I thought, my rack's a bit loose, and the bolts come out the back, so that almost fell apart today. I got cable ties that do that. I don't think I can take any Allen bolts off and put in that. I need them all. Might be able to take an Allen bolt out, some like a mudguard, and use it and cable tie that instead. I'll have to give that a bit of thought overnight. And then just as I was walking around, he showed me where my shoe eventually fell apart. That's all the sellotape come out, so I'll have to do that again overnight. I used an old Audax trick actually. I've just been counting down the mileage. I always find that helps, that when you're tired, the actual distance to go is decreasing. Just mentally it really helps. And because I'm on file 2, and that's going to be all I do now. File 3 has just been ditched, the bit down the coast. So I've got something like 79 miles left to go. And I've got until sometime Tuesday to do that. It's only Friday evening now. And I still managed 25 miles today, under quite challenging and testing conditions. So I've only got to do that for the next 3 days, and that's 75 miles, So I can, hopefully, if nothing else goes wrong, I can cover the distance to Nether Kellet and then hop into Carnforth or Lancaster sometime on Tuesday. So all's well that ends well on Friday the 21st of June. I'm just airing my tent up there because it's still a little bit damp with condensation this morning. I don't want to get in a smelly tent. And then I'm absolutely longing for that shower. He's cleaned it out especially for me because it wasn't ready. So yeah, landed on my feet here. I sort of feel okay. I'm definitely ready to plonk all that in there, go and make my acquaintance with the shower, and then just lie back and chill out. And another solution I thought, I know it sounds a bit naff, but if I am going to rip the cardboard or the padding out of the shoes when I walk, I may just have to take my Crocs on the back of the bike, and every time I have to get up and walk, take my cycling shoes off. That's going to make some comments in it, walking up a steep hill with the touring bike in flip-flops. Yeah, so I've had a few comments a day, so you've just gone over the top of my head. Anyway, shower time.